Hello, friends. This is Akulmach live, and I am Chandrakant. Uh, Most of the Indians would be tracking the news about social media, and there are a lot of fake news also being coming our way. The war between the government and the social media platform is heating up. Some of the social media platform has approached the court, uh, but what government is asking them to do is basically create a self-regulatory system, and this is related to whistleblowing, because social media platform has been used to spread news, to spread good news, and in case something is going wrong somewhere, social media is a very simple tool which can be used to to spread the information, put pressure on the governance to take corrective measure. However, the whistleblowing arena itself is going out of hand, and this is the matter of discussion for today. Before we start our discussion, let me tell you that there is a free gift, free giveaway. Stick around in this discussion till the end, and we will tell you how you can claim your free gift. Friends, welcome back. And in today's discussion, let me invite my guest today. He's joining us from London. His name is Mr. Neville Gaunt, and he's chairman of MindFit Limited. The discussion is about whistleblowing and what is going on in the social media in the context of Indian tussle between Indian government and the social media platforms, and what is happening world over with the whistleblowing. So, without further ado, let me have Neville start the discussion today.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. And a very warm welcome to this interesting little discussion that we're going to have today. It's going to be about whistleblowing, but I suppose the bottom line here is about integrity. It's about who we are, what we do when we do it. Are we doing the right thing, or are we doing things that literally are right for other people or are right for us because it's helping us achieve something? I want to be more specific than that as the discussion will unfold. So let's look at the Facebook issue, which is probably not just Facebook; it's Twitter, WhatsApp, and anything associated with the Twitter and Facebook family. In India, in particular, some laws were passed earlier this year, and some fairly simple requests were made around individuals' privacy to make sure that we were protected in the best way possible. And let's face it, social media platforms have been put on the spot around the world about putting out propaganda, even though not generated by people in these organizations that run the platforms, but it's being used by terrorists, by people that just want to unsettle the world, that want to put out propaganda that's for themselves. You might call them influencers, but it's the negative arena. It's fake news. It's the stuff that we're trying to get off social media even before it starts, because it does bring panic around the world, and suddenly a belief and what someone says in print, in writing, is suddenly fact. And the reality of life is there is probably about 1% of fact and 99% of fiction and imagination. So that's the subject for today. So CK, let's look at what's happened literally recently with the storming of one of the Delhi offices. That's never good news for a media organization such as Twitter. But let's look at that in particular. What does the Indian government ask these people to do in simple terms, and what clearly are they not doing?
Well, I think there are a lot of global news a couple of months back, and there was an exposed toolkit about Break India conspiracy, which has been identified globally. It was exposed globally because one of the activists in the Netherlands, in her response, in her tweet, she accidentally attached her internal document, which was now called Break India Toolkit, as a response. So she made it public by mistake, and as a result, a couple of months back, there were a lot of people arrested in India. because they were found in India, and a lot of people have been summoned who are outside India into the Indian courts for doing anti-India activities and planning it. And the toolkit has been so detailed that the exact dates and exact amount of money which will be spent on the road and on the social media, both are defined so well. And those events which are written in these toolkits are synchronized very well with actual events. So it is it is a proof in a sense. So at that point in time, Indian government came out with some regulations, and it is very simple. These are very simple regulations. They said that you have to regulate yourself. We don't want to impose any laws on you, because we want to maintain freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of everyone's ability to speak out. So they don't want to curb anything, and that's why they said you have to self-regulate yourself. And that was a simple laws. And in order to do that, they said there was only 3 demands. They said that you have to appoint an officer who will actually enable you do that, and that officer must be an Indian, based in India. He can be a foreigner, but he should be based in India. He cannot be based in New Zealand and make governance as per Indian laws. So obviously these new positions have to be created. New people have to be identified who will then own the legal liability, because in such cases, if the social media has been found to spread lies. And I just want to add to what you said before I started talking, Neville. These guys are now known as intermediary. They are not known as a media house anyway. So since they are intermediary as per the laws, their responsibility lies to delete any information which has been multicasted. I wouldn't say broadcasted, because the social media has the ability to multicast the fake news. Then as per the Indian law, it is the responsibility of Twitter, Facebook and WhatsApp to delete that information and penalize those people who are either forwarding those information or creating those. So this is the basic simple demand, and this is the background in short term.
And as you say, just picking up that last point, the whole purpose here is to eliminate fake news, is to actually give people the facts. And interestingly enough, the Indian government isn't unique in this. It does things that actually they get it wrong. So what I don't think we're saying here is we need to be suppressing all of the whistleblowers that are actually trying to deliver the facts. And hold governments to account. So I don't think that's, you can't have your cake and eat it from this high position of the ivory tower in government. But I'd also like to go back to this toolkit. And when it first came out, I think I was a little surprised that someone had been a little careless in putting out the IP of the organization, because that's what it was. It was very clever, very coordinated PR document about if this happens, this, then this, then this, then this. And we can see how orchestrated any PR needs to be, any marketing needs to be. You don't take this and, you don't put a little video out there and just hope it goes viral. You get your friends to go and like it and share it and get feedback on it. And that's how things go viral. And I don't think that the toolkit, in many respects, despite the fact they actually gave some pretty detailed inside knowledge of what this particular company was doing, I don't think it was doing anything that any normal group organization would do. It's just the fact that it was made very public. So I suppose my comment in all of that is a little silly to have put it out there in the first place, because clearly it means you don't understand what you've got in front of you and how important it is. And the other thing is, under confidentiality, it was part of the organization's intellectual property. I mean, these are normally covered under confidentiality statements, which is at the very heart of what we're talking about here. It's about personal information not being shared in the public domain, or information being shared in the public domain that's not true. So I think the whole issue around this so-called toolkit has just made me smile in an obtuse type of way, because I can't believe that people didn't realize this was going on anyway.
Well, I think it's very funny also. Like you said, you're not using this word, but I am, because I'm an Indian. It's so funny. And it's something like, for the first time, we were able to catch the conspirators red-handed, because people who were, it was a Google Doc, and instructions were being given with dates and time and the amount of money which will be paid. All that is recorded in the document, and it was a privately shared document among people. And because of that, all those people are now red-handed and they're caught. So earlier we used to only make conspiracy theories and maybe make some movies and all that, because nothing to prove what we are saying. So now it's a proof, and I think it's foolishness, because somebody tried to ask this person a question, and out of her emotions, in terms of her belief system, because she probably believed it, whatever has been fed to her, she believed that seriously, and she said, okay, here you go, take it, read it for yourself. So she sort of believed this as evidence, that toolkit which has been created by conspirator. And if you remember, the Spectre organization of Mission Impossible is something like that.
Spectre, James Bond, it is. I mean, but the thing is, this, these directors and writers of movies have probably got closer to the facts than you or I, than the general public. And they're trying to make it interesting. They're into the entertainment arena. But the reality of life is, a lot of this does go on in real life. There is cameras, there is facial recognition. There is trying to chase your customer. When someone lands on your website, they capture a cookie. And now it says, this is our cookie policy. Do you agree with it? Well, if you say no, you get booted off the website. You're not allowed to go through it. So this is not, I don't think this is rocket science. I think, I use the word silly, perhaps stupid comes to mind. But it's actually not, to me, it's not understanding what you've got in front of you. And I think that's half the problem. And when you're in an organization such as these are, and you've got what this is quite damaging in many respects. I mean, that particular document was how to undermine a government. And you can only imagine that this has been used time and time and time again. I mean, it's a toolkit, It's something that you can download and then apply all of your particular marketing issues. And it is a bit like mafia, really. It's having inside here, inside there. It's a complete chronology of events, who gets paid what, who's on the payroll, who isn't on the payroll. I wonder, CK, if you went down there and you saw the initial CK by some huge rupee payment. I didn't, so I don't expect you did either. But again, some of these documents are encrypted. The little black book approach to a spy or an insider or even a salesperson. They've always got an angle on someone else, and it's a question of what you're going to use and when you're going to use it. So I think this whole toolkit issue has really brought out Pandora's box. But for those that work in big business, it's almost like, so what? I mean, we know this. It's a bit stupid to actually give, dot the I's and cross the T's and almost give a direct line of sight to not just individual names, but addresses. You may as well just package it up and send it to the CIA or the MI5 or whoever, because it becomes a very, very specific, special, internal, and not public document. And I guess the whole issue today is when you make these things public, why are you doing it? Why? What's the motivation here? And let's talk a little bit about whistleblowers. I wasn't called a whistleblower, but I was known of being one in an organization because I wanted to make sure that we did the right thing. And I would put my head above the parapet and say it many times. I don't believe that's right. I don't believe that's what we should be doing. I think we should do this in a slightly different way. Or at least if that's the absolute outcome, then we need to mitigate risk assessment of, what's going to happen with it. And on a few occasions, CK, I can tell you now, I walked away. I didn't want to be part of it. And made my voice, well known. Now, lives were never at risk, as some of the issues on COVID around today. So that was one thing, but it was the company's future that was at risk. And like anything else, my spreadsheet said something, their spreadsheet said something else, and we, I suppose, agreed to disagree. But I wouldn't be party. My integrity was pretty sound. I wouldn't be party to going down a particular route if I didn't believe in it. I'd just withdraw. And it's difficult to do that. I know it's difficult to do that in a toxic environment, or when your job depends upon your compliance to the organization. Your salary is dependent upon you doing as you're told. It's really difficult to do.
Neville, let me add to what you are saying. It's very difficult for normal people, but then if you have a deal with the devil, then you have to sell your soul. So this is exactly what happens. This is exactly what happens. When you take money for something which is not legal, then you're caught in the web. They will ask you to do a small thing. You will think, hey, what's the harm? Let me take this and write few lines and that's it. And then first assignment will give you $100. The next one will be more paying, more difficult. And then you keep getting entangled into that. So this is exactly what happened with these activists who actually exposed this toolkit. And it is a lot of people got exposed. In fact, I remember 3 months back when this whole news exploded in India. A lot of business people from United States are involved who have arms dealer, those kind of people are funding this. So a lot of names that have come in the public arena. There could be a lot of names which are still not revealed by the government, but government knows everything. Now, it is also alleged that the social media, knowing these things, are propagating and allowing these things to happen. And that is a charge of the government, and they have been summoned because WhatsApp is used to multiply the fake news arena, and also Twitter, because Twitter has ability to snowball because of this share and reshare facility. And Twitter has been openly refusing to follow government guidelines. So for past 1 week, there has been a big debate happening in India on the social media again, that some of these social media may be asked to close down. And these are, believe me, Neville, large names which will be asked to close down because of non-compliance. So this is going to happen. So when you talk about whistleblowing, and when you are an intermediary social media platform, your role has to be understood properly. Your role is to facilitate the whistleblower. But if something which is falling in the arena of fake news, your responsibility as per your use policy is you will actually delete the spams, penalize the people who are spreading spams, and also take action on it. So refusing to take action, that means you are accomplice. So this is exactly what is happening here in India.
Yeah, and it's really not good news, is it? I mean, fundamentally, we do not want. I mean, if I were to read a propaganda paper day in, day out, I believe the propaganda. I mean, that's what politics is all about. It's about, what your belief system is. But if you never question anything and you take things for granted, and the problem is a lot of people never question what these platforms are saying because they take it for granted. It's like a newspaper. But actually, when you start to investigate and go deeper, just scratch the surface, there are very few facts around this. And as we know, I mean, the key element here is the fundamental, issue about leadership is being aware of the facts. And if you have to fill in the gaps, use your experience to fill in the gaps. And if the gaps are far bigger than the data that you really know as fact, then you're in a big risk arena because you just don't know what's happening. So when it comes down to the bigger issue of leadership, we want to know the facts. And if I then make a decision on those facts, then I can be held accountable. But if the facts have got so many holes, like Swiss cheese, huge holes in it, then you delay decisions. It's as simple as that, because sometimes you just can't fill in the holes. You're out of your comfort zone. You're having to imagine things might happen. And that fundamentally is one of the reasons why we need to be holding these platforms to account to ensure that they're giving the truth. I'm not talking about, some, little tittle-tattle that might be going on. But we're talking about big worldwide issues, big country issues, global warming, etc., etc. And, some people out there, even now, I was sent a page on the Facebook website that said the Earth was flat. And it wasn't even from the Flat Earth Society. It was someone, in the middle of nowhere that just threw a paper out there. Now, you might get someone reading that and saying, oh, yeah, I believe that. They're a professor, they've got this doctorate, that doctorate, and all of a sudden, it's fake news again. Now, I'm not for one saying that the Earth is flat, by the way, everybody, because it just isn't, plain isn't. And if you want to find that out, then literally just look at the way the sun moves. And as we all know, the sun moves around the Earth, doesn't it, CK? Fake news, fake news, fake news. That's alert, alert. We move around the sun. It's been proven many, many times by scientists, mathematicians, but you can do a little sundial experiment, in your own garden, and you can prove that actually we move around the sun because of the shape of things that happen. But anyway, that's a different story. So today's subject, whistleblowing, fake news, closing down social media platforms that are propagating literally untruths. But the main thing is it starts with us. So our message today to everybody is don't believe everything that someone says. Challenge it, question it, prove it to yourself. And once you've proven it to yourself, then put it into your belief system. And then you don't have to go back to it because you know it's true. And if someone then challenges it, you just ignore it because you know it's true. Unless there's some new information that comes to light that challenges that belief system. In which case then, you better start listening.
Well, Neville, this gives me an idea. If you look at the Washington Post, the top of their newspaper where the name is written, they also mention that their news can be used as an evidence. So their confidence level is so high that they say that we have actually done the investigation. And you can use this news article as one of your investigation, evidence. So I think that's the level of confidence that Washington Post is demonstrating. I think there is a need for another platform today, which will filter out the real news from the fake news. I think there is an opportunity for somebody who wants to put in his money using AI or whatever technology and say that, you connect your Facebook to my platform, your Twitter and everything to my platform, and I will only showcase what is real and remove all the fake updates from your Facebook, from your Twitter, and from your LinkedIn. Isn't it? Does it sound like an idea?
Yeah, I mean, we all look forward to a day where there's this magical app that sits on our phone and just screens all the rubbish and puts it in the Bravo India November, as we call it, bin, trash can. So it doesn't even get to my ears. Of course, that needs a lot of AI, a lot of investment, but watch this space, because someone out there is thinking this very, very issue. As the inventor of the internet, do you know who the inventor of the internet is? Where its source is? Who created it?
It was from UK. Suddenly, his name is out of my mind.
It's hyphenated. A guy called Tim Berners-Lee.
Yes.
And he has, for several years, said, the internet is out of control. We need to give back control to who the internet was for. And the internet was for you and me. It was for us. Not to be hijacked by toolkits, by mafia operation, by any form of let's call it terrorism in its widest sense, fanatics out there. It was for you and me to share information openly and honestly, to get the best information you can, have it on tap, so that it was the right fact. It was true facts. And unfortunately, as he keeps saying for several years, it's been hijacked. We need to take it back. And maybe, the Indian government are on his side. I mean, maybe they've got their own toolkit running somewhere, and they're in discussions in the back cave about taking back the internet. But we'll see. I have a feeling something is happening. Privacy is a massive issue around the world. I don't think people realize how much you can see about yourself, despite the fact you think you're a very private individual. What I suggest to everyone today is put your name in Google and see what happens.
Absolutely, Neville. And in fact, the trouble starts when the social media starts saying, hey, we don't follow your guidelines, your regulations, and still when you have half the income coming from India and you don't follow the rules of the land, and they keep actually giving the blue ticks. So there is a blue tick, and can you imagine, Neville? I just want to tell everyone that our handle has about 40,000 views every month. It's not too great. It's not a couple of 100,000, but it's like 40,000. And we had applied for blue tick. We were refused by both Instagram and by Twitter. Whereas there are these blue ticks who are spreading fake news. And when government actually goes and say that, so what is the meaning of blue tick? Blue tick is that you have verified, you have done the address
The Washington
check.
Post. Yeah, Washington Post. They stand by it. You can use it in the courts. I mean, that's to me is what journalism should be all about. I mean, that's what the newspapers, that's what media should be doing. You can take our information as fact. We may our journalists may be using a little flowery language from time to time, but the facts are facts. We haven't flowered up the facts.
Absolutely. I think this topic is very big and we can keep throwing a lot of examples here. But thank you so much, Neville, for coming to our show today and finding time to discuss this very, very pertinent subject. But we will catch up because this story is still evolving. The June will be an interesting month, and I will catch up with you on the same subject again in month of June.
Oh, this will run and run. Have a good day, everybody. Cheerio.
We have some unique Akulmach memorabilia which will make you look outstanding. The graphics on these corporate gifts are based on the global best business practices. To become recipient of one of these gifts for free, you have to watch this video till the end and provide your valuable comments. Or you can also share your experiences. The person who makes the best comment would be chosen to become a recipient of this beautiful Akulmach gift, absolutely free, delivered to your doorsteps. The winner would also get a chance to be invited live as a distinguished panelist during our next video. What are you waiting for, friends? Please subscribe Akulmach and smash that like button.